James Cook was 29. Although he in no way resembled his famous naval namesake, still he had done well for himself. He was senior advisor to the Minister for Parks and Aboriginal Affairs, and it was made known to him that if he didn't rock the boat too much, if he played his cards right, he might very well find himself sitting in Parliament one day. As it was, the government was very proud to be able to point to Jim and say, "You see, this is just one small indication of our government's commitment to equality of opportunity for all Australia's people." Most days it was all a little much. Jim was no fool. If his ethnic background could be used to boost his career opportunities, so be it. But he had no interest in being a spokesperson for his people. He really never thought of them as his people at all. Well, at least no more than he thought of the North Melbourne Kangaroos as his rugby team. It was an accident of birth at best, of residency more likely. Hell, he didn't even look Aboriginal particularly. His hair had a bit of a curl, and you certainly couldn't call him light-skinned, but he might easily pass for a Mediterranean. At uni he sometimes proclaimed that his ancestry was Spanish, and most people believed him. His grandmother was from Ireland, so who knows, it might have been something less than an unabashed lie. The sun had been up just half an hour as James' plane made its final descent into Proserpine. A monotony of stunted eucalyptus forest lay beneath as far as one could see. Not even the plane's shadow brought relief to the parched scene. It was strange how the trees were neatly spaced from each other, antisocial, almost as if they had been planted that way. But who would make a plantation of gum trees? Geez, thought James, it was hard to believe anyone actually chose to live here. If the land had any wealth in it, it wasn't obvious to the eye. And this was only the fringe. To the west and the north and south lay land even more barren, treeless, red, vast, burning with silence. But he wouldn't have to deal with that today. "Jimmy! Jimmy boy! Over here!" He hadn't expected to be met by the minister, and was momentarily shocked to see him dressed so informally. "My God," thought James, "why do so many white fellas have ugly knees?" "You'll have to get rid of that suit and tie, mate. Come on, we've got to hurry. Come on, get in." It was only 7:30 in the morning, but already the minister was sweating profusely. "But my luggage?" Nah, forget about that. We'll get it later. You got a causey?" "In my carry-on?" James patted the bag slung around his shoulder. He had lost airport luggage too many times. "Well, that's right, then. Come on, we've got to be in Shute Harbour by 9. Perhaps the minister thought there was something ecclesiastical about his title. At any rate, Patrick Manny, the Minister for Parks and Aboriginal Affairs, drove like a nun, seeming to believe he was exempt from ordinary physical laws. He drove too fast, accelerated at the most unlikely times, and seemed to feel that the application of brakes implied an essential lack of faith. James stared at the minister and imagined what he would look like in a full habit. "What are you staring at, Jim boy?" "What?" The minister had formed a career around the principle of looking people squarely in the eye. "Nothing, minister, nothing. I was just daydreaming. Watch out, minister, there's a—" "I see it, Jimmy boy, no worries." They swerved around a koala bear who seemed to have run out of steam right in the middle of the bitumen. James looked back after they had driven by. It showed no signs of continuing its journey, and James wondered what would become of it. "You know, people say we have a koala problem, but there's no koala problem. There's millions of those little buggers all over the place. My sister has a whole family of them living under her house in Brisbane. They're everywhere. It's all you can do to keep from stepping on them. I saw this bloke on the telly the other night saying how they're all stressed out from living in the proximity of humans. Well, join the club, I say. Stressed out? I guess we're a little stressed out, having to dodge round them on the roadways every day, and climbing up telephone poles to help the stupid little buggers find their way home." "I guess," James replied. There was a pause. The minister seemed to be thinking. This wasn't something James had observed often,